with those huge developments in Rexburg, Idaho. It's a case we've been covering here on Court TV for about 6 months now. And it started as the search for JJ and Tylee, two children of Lori, Vallow, Daybell. And now it's worst case scenario. Remains were found. And over the weekend, the huge development that the remains were positively identified. So there is no more search for JJ and Tylee. There's now a search for justice for Tylee and JJ. Who is responsible? What did they do? Why did they do it? Those are some of the questions we're going to be talking about. But right now, let's get the very latest. We've got our team on the ground in Idaho, Tylee Painter, bringing us up to speed.
4 days after authorities find 2 sets of human remains on Chad Daybell's property, the Rexburg police officially confirmed them as the remains of JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan. Now, the community here in Rexburg, Idaho is coming together to honor the children's lives. At a candlelight vigil Saturday, well-wishers shared memories and messages of love for the children's families. It was one of several events in East Idaho this weekend, offering the community a chance to grieve.
These children, it's heart-wrenching.
Saturday morning, volunteers met in front of the Madison County Courthouse and decorated downtown Rexburg in blue and white ribbons, symbols of the children's innocence.
We decided to organize this event to show support to the family. Even though we are such a little community, we all stand together and support each other.
JJ and Tylee leave behind a trail of broken-hearted relatives, including grandparents Kay and Larry Woodcock, who made a brief appearance Saturday to thank volunteers. Their mother, Lori Vallow, is in Madison County Jail, facing criminal charges, including child abandonment. Her husband, Chad Daybell, was arrested June 9th after the remains were found on his property.
It's hard to see that they're gone, but I know that they are loved.
Alexia Law traveled from Hawaii to honor her best friend Tylee.
We have pictures of Tylee and Lori swinging on a swing together on the beach and laughing and hugging and everything.
Whenever we lose a child, it hurts us as a community. It's something we all feel together. We can all look at our loved ones and hurt from the horrible thoughts of losing them and immediately sympathize with what the family must be going through.
Even harder to comprehend, the behavior of their parents while the world searched for them.
Lori was there when Tylee went missing and was there and kept it from everybody. It's hard to see that her entire perspective on her own children changed. And so that's really rough to see.
Very emotional weekend in Idaho as this entire case investigation has made a sharp turn now. We are in the world of a murder investigation at this point, trying to find out what happened to these children, who is responsible, and why on earth would they do it. Let's bring in Tylee Painter, who joins us live now from Salem, Idaho. Tylee, first, just the emotion of what transpired over the course of this weekend, because last time we were speaking, there was a vigil, several miles from where you are now, and then it seemed like things continued over the weekend. Kind of give us a recap of what people are feeling out there.
It did, Benny. Last Friday, we were live at the vigil, the very first vigil in Idaho Falls honoring JJ and Tylee. And then there was one in Rexburg, downtown. There's Porter Park in downtown Rexburg. And there was a memorial there in the park from the day the remains were recovered. But then a small group gathered there to honor their lives, and statements from family members were read then. Then there was also another vigil at the Boise Capitol building that happened on Sunday evening as well. So it's been several days of remembering JJ and Tylee in a community that you can tell it's just very heavy and somber. We showed in that story the blue and white ribbons that were tied all over town on Saturday, and it's a constant reminder. You drive through Rexburg all the way up here to Salem and you see those ribbons hanging on fences, people's houses, on trees. Of course, the memorial behind me has grown 3 or 4 times over since we were last here live, and this is the spot where the remains were recovered in Chad Daybell's backyard.
Yeah, that was the first thing I noticed when I saw you tonight, how things have exponentially grown as word has spread. You had an opportunity to speak with a lot of different people over the course of the weekend, Chanley, and we heard in your piece, you spoke with one of Tylee's friends. You also ran into one of Lori's friends as well?
I did. April Raymond was Lori Vallow's friend when Lori was in Hawaii. April lived in Hawaii for a time. She drove up for the vigil Friday night from Utah with a group of people, and I was able to speak with her about her reaction to all of this. Let's take a listen to some of what she said.
I think it's important to just really express my gratitude to the people of Idaho who had been searching for Tylee and JJ, who sacrificed time from their own families, from their own lives, to look for 2 children that were missing and that needed to be found.
April was quite emotional, along with a couple other 100 people who drove in from all over the area to be there on Friday night. And she was with, of course, the group of people that used to live in Hawaii. Tylee's best friend that we showed in the story, who was friends with Tylee the day that she died. She told me about that a text message that she sent to Tylee, and Tylee responded, but then when she responded, she never heard back from her ever again, and she's still trying to cope with that months later. And this is just kind of a first step in the process of hopefully they say closure, but they are all, Vinny, seeking justice and wanting justice for Tylee and JJ.
So April Raymond was Lori's friend. And I've heard her speak before about Lori. Did she talk at all about, upgraded charges and what could happen here? Her friend is the one that's locked up, and I'm guessing she didn't visit her or isn't permitted to visit her. Did you have any conversations along those lines?
I did, because when I did introduce myself to April and when we started to do this interview, I asked, well, do we call you Lori's friend? What is the situation? And she was quite candid with me, Vinny. She believes that Lori is responsible, as well as Chad Daybell is responsible for the death of Tylee and JJ. In fact, I think we have some sound about exactly how she feels about upgraded charges. Let's listen to that.
I hope that both Lori and Chad will have upgraded charges shortly. I hope that it's murder. And I hope that they, are held accountable, and whatever the state of Idaho feels that their punishment should be, I feel comfortable with that.
Some strong words there, and I think that's the sentiment throughout the community. We've been in town for several days now. We've attended the events and memorials and vigils honoring Tylee and JJ, and that seems to be the expectation here, Vinny, is that soon, once the investigators piece together everything that they have, that they were able to uncover in the latest search here almost a week ago at Chad Daybell's property, that they're expecting additional charges, upgraded charges against not only Chad, but also Lori as well, both still sitting in separate county jails here on a $1 million bail.
Chanley, the other thing that a lot of people are talking about and are very concerned about, we understand remains were found, but everyone's wondering what happened to these children and what exactly were the conditions of the remains, because we did hear the prosecutor say the word egregious in the courtroom. What more do we know?
We don't know a lot more than that. We reached out to Rexburg police to inquire about the condition of the remains. They say they aren't making any further comment at this time as far as the investigation goes. And we know that the autopsy, the coroner said that depending on the condition of the remains, it may take a little bit longer to test for certain things and to establish a cause and manner of death. So they aren't being aren't telling us exactly the condition of the remains just yet, but we know that the process is underway. The autopsies were conducted by the state medical examiner's office to be able to positively identify the remains. The Rexburg Police Department just on Saturday released a statement about the identity of the remains. Remember, the family members of Tylee and JJ already confirmed to media several days before the positive identification, so the official identification didn't come until several days later.
I'll tell you, the fact that the autopsy, we don't have results yet, and it's going to take some time, to me that's very concerning about the condition of the remains and what may have happened to those two children. All right, Chanley Painter staying with us. She is live in Idaho, in Salem, Idaho tonight.